you guys, coming at you with another video. Welcome to the LLL Podcast, episode 5. Today we're going to be talking about meditation, one of my favorite topics. So the main reason that I wanted to discuss this topic is because meditation's been something very beneficial for me in my life, and I've enjoyed learning more about the practice as well as implementing certain practices that have helped me overcome many challenges in my life. So we'll be discussing a few of those challenges within this video, but also extending an offer to you guys to be a part of the LMC, Leo's Meditation Community, which is a community that I'm going to be building this year, that I am building this year. And essentially this will allow you to gain access to like-minded individuals that are on the same path as you, as well as certain guides who have already completed the curriculum that I've created, so that they could be somewhat of a guide for you, because I believe that it's important to teach yourself, but a wise man learns from his mistakes, and a really wise man learns from the mistakes and the trials that other people have gone through as well. So there's no reason, and I can testify to that personally, being that before I would always try to disregard other people's lessons as something that's for them. But in reality, we can learn a lot from the people that are in our lives, whether they're above us in terms of monetary value or below us. I believe in treating the janitor like the CEO, and that comes with respect, because respect is something that you give first and foremost. It's not something that you just expect from everybody. And as a man, I'll speak for myself here, respect is one of the main things that I strive for and that I hope to attain in my life. Respect on a global scale, because that's one of the most fulfilling feelings that a man can have, is respect. And that first, like I said, first and foremost, that comes with giving respect. If you don't give respect, you shouldn't go around expecting respect to be given to you. So without further ado, as I said, welcome to episode 5 of Leo's Linguistic Library. We're going to be talking about meditation today. So I figured a good way for me to dive into this topic would be to describe parts of the program that I've created, as well as discuss the several trials and tribulations that meditation has allowed me to overcome, and that I'm still overcoming in some aspects, but having this practice set in place has really helped me accelerate this process. So for me, one thing I do is I meditate about 30 minutes to an hour a day, whether that be 2 15-minute meditations or 2 30-minute meditations. And that's really been instrumental for me and pivotal for me in terms of creating a sense of mental clarity. So I believe that, I think it was Buddha that had said, when I have a busy day, I meditate for 1 hour. And when I have a really busy day, I'll meditate for 2 hours, which is quite counterintuitive, you would think. But once you grasp what meditation is and what it can do for you, it really makes sense. So the first thing I'd like to preface is for you to understand that meditation isn't this... I'd like to explain what meditation isn't before I talk about what it is for me, because I'm speaking from personal experience. So many aspects in my life I've tried to level up, whether that be money, relationships, sports. You always try to get to the next level. And that can create this sense of competition. And I believe competition is a healthy thing, but there's also unhealthy forms of competition. When you are constantly comparing yourself and competing with the people around you, that can trigger a sense of inadequacy, as well as hoping that your competitor doesn't do well, which comes from a lack mindset. I believe that the healthiest form of competition is competing with the past version of yourself, or competing with who you were yesterday so that you can be a better person tomorrow. And it's actually been recorded that competition is one of the best ways to boost testosterone. So when you keep that into consideration, it really makes sense. We are hardwired to compete. Who can catch the biggest fish? Who can do the best crossover, who can make the most money. Because as men, as I spoke to previously, respect is something we all crave. And when you are in a competitive state, whether that be, as I said, in relationships or in sales, in sports, there's this sense of if you're not first, you're last, as Will Ferrell said once in a movie. But the aspects of meditation that I'd like to share with you guys embody more of a presence, more of a mindful awareness. And this mindful awareness spills over into every aspect of your life. One of the things that I pride myself on is learning how to properly articulate myself. And the one thing that I've noticed, and I'll preface that, the reason I wanted to articulate myself better is to become a better salesman. Because I think sales is one of the most overlooked and most pivotal aspects of a business, right? If you see sales as this negative, slimy thing, then you'll treat it that way. And if you see sales as like this, I'm taking money from you, then you'll treat it that way, and it'll give off this energy that people don't want to associate with for very long. You might fool certain people into buying into it for like temporarily, but long term, it's not someone you would want to be with for the long run, right? And as a wise man once said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So for me, I wanted to, and I have been improving my articulation so that I can become a better salesman. But as I've been improving my articulation, I've come to notice that just like meditation, it spills over into every aspect of my life. I am better in my relationships. I'm better at work. I'm better with my creative expression. I'm better at sales. And this comes from the integration of applying this one skill to many different areas in your life. And I truly believe that meditation does this as well. And it does it in a very, I don't want to say sneaky because that's not the right word, but we'll use it because that's what came to mind. It does it in a very sneaky way, in the sense that you don't really notice it until you look back on that situation and you're like, wow, like the previous version of Leo would have not acted like that, or he would not have responded in that sense. And this leads me to the first thing that I'd like to share with you that meditation has helped me a lot with, is understanding how to respond rather than react. So many times in life when we react to something, I'll think of an example. Let's say you're driving, someone cuts you off, flips you off, you get pissed, honk the horn, it escalates, it escalates, it escalates. You guys end up pulling over, he hops out of his car, you hop out of your car. We all know where this is going. This is a reaction, right? Both of you are reacting to what's going on right now. And what I've noticed meditation allows me to do is to respond. So having the ability to implement mindful awareness in that moment, and to understand that sometimes people aren't really mad at you, they're projecting their insecurities onto you, and they're projecting their worldview onto you. And I say this happens sometimes, but this happens often. And once you can recognize that, and you could see, well, anger isn't a primary emotion, right? The two primary emotions are love and fear. So oftentimes, once you realize that, like, oh, this person definitely isn't acting out of love, you know it comes from fear. And fear can often lead to, like, pain, and then that can jump up to anger. There's many other emotions that can be felt up along that path, but let's just use that as an example. Fear, pain, anger. If you can recognize that this person that is angry at you is in pain, and you have an ounce of empathy, you don't try to fight this person, right? You try to de-escalate the situation and maybe give him an opportunity to open up and express himself. And if he's not interested in doing so, well, then at the very least, you leave the altercation at where it is, and you don't allow yourself to absorb all of this energy. You learn to observe rather than absorb. And as someone who is emotionally intelligent and empathic, I believe that it's a thin line, right? It's a tough line to It's a difficult line to mitigate, or maybe that's not the right word. It's a difficult thing to balance because there are times when your ego will take the driver's seat and your ego gets there and goes, dude, he just cut you off. Who the fuck does he think he is? Who does this? And then you get into this me versus you once again, which becomes, as I said before, a competition. Whereas I've noticed meditation allows you to have this sense of self with a capital S, where you can empathize with his situation without disregarding what's going on in your life. And doing so opens the gate to clear communication. Excuse me. So, once this is done a few times, let's say you do this 2-3 times, and you start to realize that the outcome becomes better. Maybe this person ends up thanking you for not overreacting. And then down the line, you guys meet up again, and now you're friends, and then instead of having an altercation where it could have been physically dangerous, you made a friend. And so, but that all came from your response, your ability to, as I said, respond rather than react. And this is important because I've noticed in life, many times people just want to get a reaction out of you. And if you give them that reaction, then they got what they want. The example that comes to mind is like bullying. When we were bullied as kids, some of you can relate, some of you can't, some of you were bullies. And not that one is right or wrong, but just look at the roles. Unbiased, unattached from what's going on. Look at the roles. A bully is someone who has a lot of pain within them, and they're seeking to outwardly express that pain on anybody around them. Whether that be a negative reaction, whether he wants to make them cry, whether he wants to beat them up. He is trying to push that out, and a lot of the times it's because that kind of stuff is happening at home. So because it's happening at home, it feels normal. It's the only thing that the bully knows. So, and then on the other side, someone who is being bullied usually has a very poor frame. And by poor, I mean it's very easy to intrude on their frame and make them think what you're thinking. So, oh, you're stupid, you're ugly, you don't have this going on, you wear cheap clothes, what's wrong with you? And then instantly the person being bullied will identify with, yeah, what is wrong with me? Rather than understanding that this person is projecting onto them, they accept a frame that is put onto them, which makes them an easy target to bully. But, for example, in this example, you react and you give the bully a negative response. This will allow this to be a cyclical thing now, because you've given the bully exactly what he wants. So therefore, when he comes around again, he knows he knows the type of reaction he can get out of you. And therefore, he will keep pressing those buttons until he gets a bigger reaction. And most of the time, this stuff happens when we're kids. I say most of the time, but I'm sure there are people that get bullied well into adulthood as well. Because these are roles that we put on. These are roles that we are given at a very young age. And if you don't introspect and think and look into your own mind and understand that, like, this isn't who I am, in the same way that, like, I'm not a guy in a red shirt. I'm someone who's wearing a red shirt. But look, there's blue underneath too, right? And so, a little off topic, but this ability to respond rather than react, back to the example. If you see what's going on and you have an understanding of the situation and what the bully is going through, and you choose not to give the bully any type of reaction at all, as we know, the bully is just going to find someone else who is reactive, because most people are reactive. So, for me anyway, just to give you a few examples of where I'm coming from, I've come to realize that a ship can only sink if the water gets inside the boat. The boat is surrounded by water all the time, but it's only when the water gets within the boat that the ship can sink, right? And as is in life, if we want to use the example of negativity and positivity, if you aspire to be a positively influential and motivating person, if you want to be someone who spreads kindness and love throughout the world, and you have enough negativity bombarded into your environment, into your energy, into your mind, you might allow that to change you, right? Because it's become in the boat. And another quote that I think of to explain this is, people can only enter your inner kingdom through invitation, which is true. But I think I learned that when I was 21, probably. I think I was 21 years old when I heard that quote, and it resonated with me. But before that, I had no idea about these things, right? I was the one who had a weak frame. And that if you told me I was this and that, then I guess maybe I am this or that. And that creates a very, like I said, a weak frame. And not that it's bad or good. It's just that, do you want to be someone who controls aspects of your reality and improves the thing that you find valuable? Or do you want to just be told what to do your whole life? Because both are necessary. There needs to be the CEO and there needs to be the worker. They both need to have a role to be played in the play, right? So I'd like to take this moment to share a few pains, if you will, that meditation has helped me alleviate. One of those being overthinking, perfectionism, loneliness, reactivity, paradigms, or any type of subconscious blocks, and having no peace of mind. I find this is something that maybe some of you can resonate with, but I'll start with overthinking. If you struggle with overthinking and you find yourself getting into these negative thought loops where you can't stop thinking about what you don't want to be thinking about, and then it manifests in your life, and you're like, how does this happen? Well, you're focused on it. Where your attention goes, energy flows, right? If I focus on the fact that every time I exercise, I get stronger, and that every time I spend money, I'm actually not spending it, I'm investing it into myself, and every investment I make pays me back tenfold. You see how much of a more powerful perspective that is, and how that can be utilized in a prolific way. So for me, the way that meditation has helped me overcome overthinking is that when I meditate, I slow down and I just focus on my breath. And I give myself a moment to relax. And one of the meditations that I enjoy thoroughly is a noting meditation. So I'll be able to explain these different types of tactics and guides within the program, more so, but I'll give you this one for free, just off the rip. Noting meditation is when you sit in a meditative state, take deep breaths, and you focus on your breath. And as you're focusing on your breath, what you do is you note the thoughts in your head. So let's say I start thinking of, okay, what am I going to be having for dinner tonight as I'm meditating? Instead of buying into that train of thought, maybe I'll have chicken, maybe I'll have fish with some rice on the side. What I do is I note that I'm thinking of that. Noted. And sometimes I like to imagine like a check mark on that box with the thought on it. And as I note it, I allow it to disappear into the cosmos. It's gone. It might come back, but once again, I don't entertain this thought. I simply note that I'm having this thought because, let me be clear, you are not your thoughts. And if you believe you are your thoughts, then I'd invite you to stop thinking. See how that goes. It's quite difficult at first. And so once you realize that this identification with thoughts is a fallacy and a false dichotomy, it's not true. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who is observing your thoughts. And oftentimes, because thoughts are powerful, you get caught up in that narrative, in that play. And because you get so caught up in it, you never rise to the surface to get some air. A good example I like to use is that of a roller coaster. Life is like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, you go side, sometimes it throws you for a loop, right? But the practice of meditation allows you to be the observer of the roller coaster momentarily. So now you're looking at this roller coaster and you're realizing, okay, well, it's going to go left, it's going to go up and down. But it gives you a break from the nauseating effect of the constant motion. It gives you that mental clarity to understand that, well, actually, roller coasters are freaking a beautiful invention, and they're fun, and they're super cool. Like, they're this genius, intricate design to please yourself, to give us pleasure as humans. And when you step away from a roller coaster, you see that more. And you can see it logically, right? You can rationalize what's going on. Whereas when you are on the roller coaster, you are feeling it more. You're more in your feelings. It's more of a feminine thing, right? Because men see things in a rational perspective. We're more logical. And women go through life feeling things more. And so, because gender is dual, we all have feminine and masculine aspects within us, it's important to strike a balance in between these two things. Because if you go through life being hyper-rational, you will, and I'm speaking from experience, be caught overthinking many times. And you will disregard emotions as if they are unimportant. And same vice versa. If you never value logic and you never value rationality, you will be over-emotional. Which, once again, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying they both are the two sides to the same coin. And both of them have benefits and negatives. But striking a medium, finding a good balance in between the two is where you can find peace. And also, I've come to realize that the more I can understand myself, the more I can understand those in my life. And doing so makes me enjoy life more. And I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, if you would like to be convincing, first you need to be convinced. And I think the same applies in terms of interest. If you would like to be an interesting person, first you have to be interested. Because this is something I teach often for articulation, when I help guys improve their articulation, especially when talking to women, if they have difficulty talking to women. I help them realize that if you walk up to a woman and you just talk about yourself, oh, I do this, I do that, even if you're not bragging, right? I'm not saying you're bragging, but even if you're just so self-focused and you're just talking about, I do this, I have a job, and actually this is the kind of car I drive, and I want to do this, I want kids, it's better than not talking to her, for sure. But if you want to have the optimal conversation with a woman, with anybody, you should first find what their interests are, and then talk to them about what their interests are. Boom. And that will allow you to have one of the best conversations, because you are showing genuine interest in the individual, not this fake, whatever you want to call it. You are expressing interest, and furthermore, you are implementing effort. And I believe that one of the most attractive things, not the most, but one of the most attractive things in humans is effort, right? If a girl is dating a guy, and he's not a millionaire, but he is trying every single day to get better and to improve himself and to better his financial ability, his financial circumstance, as well as his physical health, and he is a caring individual, that's very attractive because there's effort there. Furthermore, he has a vision and he knows where he's going. So, I'm not saying any relationship is destined to fail or going to be perfect. Relationships are relationships, and that's what makes them so interesting. There's no guarantee in anything, right? Just like in business. There's no guarantee that you are going to have this business and hit $1 million and it's going to blow up from there. It's up and down. But the two coincide in the sense that if I build $1 million business and it crashes and I lose it all, I still have all those lessons. I still have all those systems that I set in place to build that. And now I can start from scratch and do it all over again. And the same goes for in a relationship. If you have a 10-year relationship and it was great, but then it ended up going off sour in the end, you didn't waste 10 years. You found a way you found systems that you set in place, and you found out what you liked, you found out what you didn't like. You found out what your values are and how important morals are and how they can coincide in a relationship. And how important it is to have these conversations sooner rather than later. And this makes you a more wise individual. This makes you somebody who is more capable in this sense. So I went off a little bit in terms of examples, but I think you get the picture in terms of overthinking. Meditation allows you to take a step back, breathe, and observe what's going on in your life. Because even if you're losing the game of chess currently, if you keep making the best moves, you can still win that game. Because you are present and focused on what's going on. You are employing mindful awareness, which allows you to see the best move on the board time and time again. So that's how meditation has allowed me to overcome overthinking. And I won't say it like it's gone forever. I never overthink. I still get stuck in negative thought loops where I am overthinking certain things. But because I have the tools necessary to self-correct, it makes it so that I'm not stuck in that thought loop for as long as I used to be. And therefore, it makes me want to share these tools and this arsenal that I've created because I've seen it help my life in so many different ways. The other one was perfectionism and reactivity. We already touched on reactivity, but I'll talk about perfectionism. Oftentimes, if you are a perfectionist and you are relating to this, I'd like to ask you a question. Even if you were to create the perfect project, the perfect piece of art, the perfect painting, the perfect building, if you're an engineer, how would you even know it's perfect? How would you even know that it's perfect? And you get caught in this, well, this could be better, and this could be better, and this could be better, and this could be better. And it's not a healthy way of looking at things. And I'm just speaking from personal experience because I've had so many ideas, programs, thought processes that I would have liked to share, and I ended up discrediting myself completely because I felt too insecure to post that video, to share that insight, to articulate myself in a way that can potentially guide other people who have had similar experiences. So, I say that to say this. If you're a perfectionist, you know that perfectionism is the enemy of profitability. And if you are always trying to tweak something, and you're never satisfied with that, that's more of an internal reflection than an external reality. It's the way you view yourself. You don't see yourself as worthy of getting the success that it would create. So therefore you self-sabotage. And once again, I'm only speaking from personal experience. Maybe this isn't resonating with you at all. Cool. Watch another video. But if this is resonating with you, I invite you to be a part of LMC, Leo's Meditation. And once you join this community, Leo's Meditation community, you will have this space where you can share ideas as well as interact with like minds that are going through similar pieces or similar challenges. Because we all face trials and tribulations in our life. And that's one of the reasons that I'm making this video, because I came to realize that authenticity is attractive. And if you put up this front of like, I'm perfect and I can do this and I can do that, and people don't even want to take your advice because they're like, man, are you? Can you? What's attracted me in my life is the guides that have told me, hey man, like I fucked up. I did this, I did that. I used to be on drugs. I couldn't do this. And I resonate with those people more. And I want to hear them out because they're not just at the top of the mountain. They climbed the mountain. And they established themselves as a man who is worthy of respect, man or woman. I learned from either one. And This authenticity is what allows you to create a community that is closely knitted. And I'm doing this to provide value as much as I can, to provide as much value as I can, but also this is providing value to me. Finding these like-minded individuals, finding the type of people that are interested in these subjects that I can share with and cross-collaborate with, as well as be a co-creator on certain projects. That's exciting. That's cool. Like, that's one of the reasons I love life, is that there is no end to creation. Creation is a continuous process. And one of my favorite quotes by Earl Nightingale is that success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And what that means to me is, if you take a man who wants to be a garbage man, and he decides that, and then he goes and he gets the training done, and then he becomes a garbage man, and he's fulfilled in that area, that is a successful man. He is succeeding in life. And he is progressively realizing that maybe he wants to do this, maybe he wants to do that, and that's perfectly fine, because he's allowing himself to go down this journey, to carve his own path, and to be his own man. And that's attractive. That is a beautiful way to live life, in my opinion. So shout out to you, Earl. It's a great quote. Thank you for sharing. And once again, as I said, if this message resonates with you, and you would like to be part of a community where people are interested in being collaborative and sharing ideas, as well as going through a curriculum that will make their minds stronger, as well as include them. And we're also going to be having retreats that are available to you guys. Retreats that I'm very excited to create as well as share. And once you become a part of the community, even if you don't go to the physical retreat itself, you're going to get access to these live recordings. So you're going to have access to everything. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, because it's helped me in so many ways in my life. It's really helped me pull myself up and pull my bootstraps up and get to work, because I'm just like you. I go to work, I come home, I make myself dinner, right? I got to shower, I got to clean the house, I got to get in my car, I got to go get gas, I got to go get groceries. We all live this life together, and we are, as I like to say, one race under the sun. We're all in the same boat, and throwing rocks at each other and trying to degrade each other is just something that isn't beneficial, in my opinion. It's something that it stems from a lack mindset, like I said, which creates this competitiveness of me versus you. But I would rather be collaborative, creation over competition, and to be able to be a better person, to be able to give more valuable gifts. And from that comes wealth and abundance. Wealth beyond money, right? Like having a circle of individuals that you can trust and share ideas with, that's wealth. Having the food and the ability to provide for your family and your kids and your wife, that's wealth. Being able to travel anywhere in the world at any time, to have location freedom, freedom of speech, and all of these things come together as somewhat of a net. They come together because we come together. And none of this can happen unless people reach out in an authentic way. Because I believe that it's one thing to create a program, package it, sell it, give it, get some money back. But if you're only doing it for the money, then it's quite a shallow reason, right? And so that's why I'd like to remain as translucent as possible and to be as authentic as possible, in the sense that you guys understand that I am building this community for you, but I'm also building it for me, because there's nothing that I would appreciate more than to have that community that I can share these ideas with and have these wonderful conversations that lead us to prolific ideas that we can implement and exceed at on a global scale. I think that that's something that is, as I said, prolific. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. The marathon continues. So with that being said, we will talk more about it. But if you're interested in joining the LMC, Leo's Meditation Community, and getting into our curriculum to understand the things that I've been able to get a grasp on, to say the least. And I would be happy to guide you along that process. Whether that be virtual calls, whether that be a digital program, whether that be assigning a certain person that I've designated to be able to assign you with that task, I'm open to it, and I hope that you are too. So with that being said, all praise to the Most High. Peace. Positive energy always creates elevation. Love you guys. Talk to you soon, and I wish you all a great day. 1.